Welcome back, guys. I want us to test drive two things real quick. And the first thing is how to get the ordered lessons, okay? Because if you check in our series.php, we don't have any methods to get the ordered lessons. Right here, we're just ordering the lessons by their IDs. But we need a method that is going to order them by their episode numbers, just like we precised when we were creating them, okay? So let's go ahead to our series test, and we are going to create a new test. Can get ordered lessons for a series. So how is this test going to look? First of all, let's create a series, and then we'll create some lessons for that series, about 3 of them, and then we are going to call the get ordered lessons method, and then we are going to run some assertions to make sure that the lessons are in the correct order. Okay, so let's get to it. First of all, we need to create the series, right? So what I'll do is just like what we've been doing. I'll just create a lesson, and then automatically it's going to generate a new series. So factory create, and I'll specify for the lesson class, and don't forget to import lesson at the top so that we have no errors. Podcast lesson, and while we're here, let's just import series. So use podcast series. And I'm gonna just pull out this right here. Okay, so we have our first lesson. What I want to do is take control of the episode number. Okay, so I want to specify this episode number in exactly the way I want it to show up to my viewers. So I want this to be the second lesson in my playlist. So I'm gonna use 200, and I'm gonna create another lesson. So lesson 2 equals exactly the same thing right here, and rather than passing in 200, I'm gonna pass in 100, which means this is going to be the first lesson in my playlist. Because remember, we are trying to test how it's gonna be in real life. In real life, you can create a lesson and then assign the video ID and everything, and then discover that that lesson is supposed to come later. So you edit the episode number and you put it before the other one, right? So if you do this, everything might blow up. Okay, so we have to test such edited data. So we are creating a second lesson, but it's going to play before the first one, because we are going to be using the episode number to know which one comes first and which one comes last. Okay, so right here we need to specify our series ID to make sure that it's also for series 1. And finally, we're going to have a third, and I'm going to specify that this is playlist number 3, and this is going to be lesson 3. And I think that's what we need for our series and our lessons. Okay, so call the get ordered lessons method. We're gonna say lessons, it's going to be equal to lesson series, because remember, this should be on the series class. Then we'll call get ordered lessons. Okay, now for our assertions, first of all, let's just make sure that any random element from this result that we have, which is a collection, should be an instance of the lesson class. So we're going to say this assert instance of lesson class, and we'll get lessons, and we'll get random. Okay, then let's assert equals, and let's think about this. If we've ordered the lessons, then the first lesson in this collection should actually be lesson 2. Right? Because if we order by episode number, this should come first. And then the last lesson in this collection should actually be lesson 3, right? And lesson 1 right here should be in the middle. Okay? So let's assert that lessons first, and we can just check across the ID, is equal to lesson 2 ID. Okay? And let's also assert equals that lessons last, we can get the last element using the last method, and then we'll assert that it's lesson 3 ID. Okay, so those are the assertions we're going to be running. Now let's run this test individually to see what we get. PHP unit filter by this test. Okay, so call to undefined get ordered lessons method, obviously. So we'll head over to our series.php, and right down here we're gonna create a get ordered lessons method. Okay, Run that test again. And now it tells us call to a member function random or null, because we're trying to get random from a collection, but we're returning null. So what will we do? To get the ordered lessons, we just need to order all the lessons by the episode number field in ascending order, right? So we just say return this lessons order by. Oh, and notice something right here. If I call order by like this, it's going to give me an error. Why? Because this lessons, calling it as a property is going to return to us a collection of all the lessons. But calling it as a method is going to return to us an instance of the query builder, such that we can call more query builder methods like order by, and would order by the episode number field. And then we're going to make sure that we specify that it is in ascending order, such that the smallest is at the bottom, it's at the top, and then it keeps going down in ascending order. Okay, and then we're going to use the get method so that it returns to us a collection. Okay, so return this lessons order by episode number in ascending order, and then get us the collection. Okay, so let's run this again. And that's great. Our test passes. So we are successfully getting all the ordered lessons for the series.